AITA for calling the cops on my in-laws over what they hid in my daughter's bear? The birthday was going to be simple. Cake, jello, cardboard party hats, juice boxes, potato chips, and goodie bags. We lived in an older but spacious apartment in the Glendale neighborhood of Phoenix, Arizona, with creaky floors and large windows facing a street that was quiet during the week. Although on Saturdays it filled with noise. My name is Jenna, and by then I was in the middle of a divorce from Marcus. The divorce papers were being exchanged between our lawyers, but nothing was finalized yet. The household kept running. Lily kept going to elementary school. I kept working. I tried to make Lily notice it as little as possible. 6 years old, children understand more than you think. So I blew up balloons, prepared goodie bags, and baked cupcakes. I guess I also needed to occupy myself with something concrete. I invited her friends' parents to stay. I did not want to be alone with 4 little girls running around the living room, counting Lily, and I wanted that day to be hers, not the divorce's. 3 of Lily's friends came. Their parents sat in the living room with cups of coffee trying to be polite, without directly asking me how things were going with Marcus. I smiled more than usual and spoke quickly, with that voice you use when there are guests and you do not want anyone to notice you have been sleeping poorly for weeks. But Lily was happy, and that was enough for me. Then the doorbell rang. It was a delivery driver with a pink box, very well wrapped, with a perfect bow. I did not need to read the card to know who it was from. Irene and Paul took great care of those things. To Irene, a badly wrapped gift was not just a badly wrapped gift. It was a sign of carelessness. The note stuck on top said, "For Lily to open today." They were not going to the party. Lily would have another celebration with Marcus the following Saturday, the party with her dad, as she called it, but Irene and Paul wanted their gift opened at my house in front of everyone. I put the box with the other gifts. Kids opening presents are chaos. Ripped paper, screams, little hands pulling bags. Lily opened some stickers, a glittery thermos, and a plastic unicorn that she held up like a trophy. Then she took the pink box. "This is from my grandparents," she said proudly. She opened it carefully. Irene always told her she had to be delicate. First I thought it was sweet. Later I understood that Irene often used delicate to ask her not to contradict anyone. Inside was a stuffed brown bear with a red heart sewn on its chest. Lily's face lit up. She loved stuffed animals. Anything soft and easy to hug seemed perfect to her. She squeezed it against her chest without thinking. "It is pretty," she said. The other girls came closer. One said she wanted one just like it. A dad commented that the little bear would surely sleep with her that night. I laughed because that is what you do at a normal party. Lily went to play with the bear in her arms. The living room returned to its previous noise. Girls running, parents drinking coffee, disposable plates piling up, cake frosting appearing in places where it made no sense. At that moment it was just another gift. About 20 minutes later, Lily appeared at the living room entrance with the bear in one arm. Her forehead was wrinkled like when she tries to do an addition problem and it does not add up. "Mommy," she called me. I turned around, still smiling, still trying to make everything seem in order. She walked up. She was not crying. She did not look scared, just confused. She showed me a part of the bear's back near a seam. The fabric was a little open, as if the hidden zipper had not been tucked well into the plush. "Lily, what happened?" I asked. She squeezed one side of the bear and looked at me. "Mommy, what is this?" I stepped closer. Among the stuffing there was something hard. It was not a tag or a music box piece like some toys have. It was a small, dark object, with a metallic part and a thin wire. It did not belong there. My first impulse was to call Marcus, call Irene, demand an explanation. But behind Lily were 3 little girls. In my living room were guest parents. In the kitchen, the cake was waiting for its candles, and in front of me was my daughter looking at me as if I should know what to do. "Let me see it for a second, my love," I told her, trying to sound normal. Lily hesitated. "It broke." "Maybe. I am going to check it so the stuffing does not fall out." I gently took the bear from her. "Go play. I will tell you in a bit." She nodded because she trusted me and because she had no idea what she had just handed me. I walked down the hallway without running. If I ran, the others would turn around, and I did not want questions yet. I went into my bedroom, the one I used to share with Marcus and that now felt weird, even though it was still mine. I closed the door. My hands started shaking when I sat on the bed. I placed the bear on my lap and looked at the seam. I opened the fabric a bit more. Just enough to see. The object was tucked into the stuffing, as if someone had made space to put it in. I did not know exactly what it was, but I knew it was not a normal part of a stuffed animal. Outside, the party could be heard. Laughter, footsteps, a girl asking for juice. On my lap, the bear looked like any toy, but I could not see it like that anymore. I closed the opening as best I could and hid it on a high shelf in the closet where Lily could not reach it. Then I looked at myself in the mirror. My face was pale. I washed my hands, took a deep breath, and tried to compose myself. I went back to the living room, served cake, sang happy birthday, clapped when Lily blew out the candles, and handed out goodie bags. The whole time I had the same thought in my head. Someone had put that inside the bear and sent it to my daughter. Later, Lily asked me about the stuffed animal and my little bear. It had a loose seam, I told her. I am going to check it well so the stuffing does not come out. She believed me. She was tired, happy, her face sticky with cake and her eyes heavy from the excitement of the day. When the last guest left, I stayed in the kitchen looking at a tower of disposable plates. Lily was in the bathroom brushing her teeth and singing to herself. She had had a good day. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I was only thinking about the bear hidden in my bedroom. With Marcus also came his parents, although at first I did not understand how much they were going to meddle in my life. When I met him, Marcus was charming, funny, easy to get along with. He could explain anything with a smile and make you feel like maybe you had misunderstood. He did not yell, but he avoided answering directly. The money started disappearing little by little. It was $100 here, $200 there, transfers I did not remember, withdrawals at odd hours. He always had an explanation. Car insurance, groceries, something for work that he would explain better later. For a while I wanted to believe him, even if the math did not add up. Irene and Paul were always around. Sunday dinners, unannounced visits, calls that started with, "We just wanted to know how you guys are," and ended with questions about our accounts. For them, how much you saved or what bank you used said something about your character. "How much are you saving a month?" Irene would ask. "Are you still at the same bank?" Paul would say, "What is in your name and what is in Marcus's name?" They said it as if it were casual conversation, but it felt like an inspection. If I took too long to answer, Irene would tilt her head and smile. Marcus never stopped them. Sometimes he even laughed. "You know how my mom is," he would say. "She does not mean to bother us." Sometimes he would also add, "And yes, she has a point." That hurt. We were married, but many decisions seemed to go through them first and then me. When Lily was born, everything got worse. Not just because a baby changes your expenses. Marcus started treating money as a constant pressure. He got restless, secretive, took calls in the parking lot. I started finding bank transactions that did not add up, charges from betting apps, transfers to names I did not recognize, late-night withdrawals. When I asked him, he got defensive. "Are you spying on me now?" "I am not spying on you. I want to know why rent is due and the account is almost empty." He always turned the conversation into a fight about my tone, my timing, or my lack of trust. But that distrust did not come out of nowhere. It took me a while to put a name to it. Betting. Not a pool among friends, not a card night, online betting, debts, losses he did not know how to cover. When I confronted him, he swore it was not a big deal. He swore it was not frequent. He swore he had it under control. Irene and Paul did not react as I expected. They did not tell Marcus to get help. They told me I needed to be more understanding. "Stress makes you do silly things," Irene said once. "If you pressure him, it is worse," Paul added. I also heard, "Maybe if you did not make him feel judged." The conversation always ended up pointing at me, as if I had caused the problem by naming it. Marcus would look at the floor. "Can we not talk about this right now?" he would say, as if the problem were the conversation and not the disappearing money. I tried for longer than I like to remember. I made budgets, suggested therapy, separated our accounts, and tried to be patient, but I also had a daughter, and I started seeing that enduring it had consequences for Lily. The breaking point came after my dad died. He was not young, but losing him left me ungrounded. My dad was a discreet, hard-working man, the kind who was there when needed. He left some money. It was not enough to live without working, but it was real protection. He also left around $135,000 for Lily in an investment account in her name, managed by me until she came of age. My dad had meant it for her future studies, a real emergency, something to start her adult life. To me, that money belonged to Lily. Marcus found out, and from then on, he started treating me differently. At first, he framed it as a reasonable idea. We could use a little to pay off debts. If it is for the stability of the house, it is also for Lily. We can put it back later. He said it as if he had found a clever way out. Then the requests became more insistent, that he had a business opportunity, that there was an urgent debt, that if he did not pay something everything would get complicated. Over time I understood that those emergencies were bets and debts he did not dare name. When I refused, he got mad. When I refused again, Irene and Paul showed up. They cornered me one night after dinner at their house in Peoria. Irene smiled with that calmness of hers and said, "Jenna, if that money can help right now, I do not understand why you are closing yourself off." Paul added, "That money is just sitting there and there are indeed problems." Marcus was sitting there, listening to everything without getting involved. That is when I stopped seeing it as a money argument. It was something else. They wanted me to give in, even though the money did not belong to them or Marcus. I asked for a divorce. I did not want to do it. My own parents got divorced when I was Lily's age. I remember the confusion, the 2 birthdays, the feeling of going from one house to another. I promised myself I would not do that to my daughter, but I also knew I could not let her grow up watching her mom lose her stability for a man who did not want to stop. Even so, I tried to be fair. I offered a balanced custody agreement and proposed splitting what belonged to us without fighting over every little thing. I also tried to keep the peace regarding the money my dad had left. My lawyer, Nicole Lawson, told me it was a reasonable stance. Nicole was serious, direct. She did not raise her voice because she did not need to. Marcus acted as if he agreed. He still had not signed, but he said he wanted peace. I believed him because I wanted to believe him, because Lily needed adults who at least tried to act like adults. That is why, when Irene and Paul sent the bear and asked for it to be opened that day, a part of me thought it was another way to mark their territory. Their way of being involved even in a party they had not attended. Until that night, I had not wanted to think they were capable of something more. When Lily fell asleep, I went back to my bedroom and took the bear out of the closet. I put it on the bed. I opened the seam more carefully. Inside was the object. Hard plastic, a metallic piece, a thin wire, all tucked among the stuffing. I am not naive, but I also do not identify hidden devices in stuffed animals as if it were normal. I did what many people would do with fear and a cell phone in their hand. I took close-up pictures from the side of the numbers printed on the plastic. Then I searched the internet. I could not be certain of anything on my own, but what I found looked like a tracking device or a small recorder, something that could record sound or send a location. It did not look like a defective toy. I sat on the edge of the bed with the bear in my hands. I thought of Lily hugging it during the party. I regretted having touched it so much, but at that moment I only wanted to understand what my daughter had held in her arms. I did not call Marcus. I already knew how that call would go. He was going to say I was exaggerating, that I was paranoid, that the divorce was getting to me. Then he would warn his parents and they would prepare their story. If they were doing something like this, I was not going to announce my moves. I fixed the bear as best I could, put it in a clean bag and put it away. Then I sat there with an idea I did not like, but that made sense. Marcus knew about technology. Irene and Paul knew how to pressure and feign concern. The bear seemed to come from them, but this also had something of Marcus in it. The next morning I called Nicole. "I need to see you," I told her. I did not try to sound calm. She gave me a time. Her office smelled like clean paper and coffee. I sat across from her desk and handed her my cell phone. I took pictures of something I found inside Lily's birthday present. Nicole reviewed the images. Her face changed. "Jenna," she said calmly, "this is serious." "I know, that is why I came." She left the phone on the desk before talking about it. "I need to tell you something." I felt my stomach drop. She opened a file and pointed to a page. Marcus rejected the joint custody proposal. Took me a second to understand. What? He wants to request full custody for himself. I stared at her. That makes no sense. He said he wanted something balanced. I know what he told you, Nicole replied. But in the documents, he claims that you are unstable. He is calling me unstable. Nicole nodded. And he asks to intervene in decisions regarding Lily's care, and the money meant for her. That is when I understood the reason. Custody would not automatically open Lily's account to him. Nicole made that clear to me, but it could put him in a position from which to pressure decisions, present himself as the stable adult, and weaken me before the court. I sat with my hands clenched on my lap. For months I had tried to do the right thing. I had offered them peace. They had responded by putting a device in a little girl's stuffed animal. Nicole leaned slightly toward me. Do you have proof of the betting? Yes. Messages, bank statements, screenshots of transfers, conversations where he asks me to use Lily's money. Good, we are going to need them. She tapped my cell phone with her fingertips. And we have to handle this carefully. Do not tamper with it anymore. Keep it exactly as it is, and we are going to file a report. If a technical review can be done better, takes time, but the fact that it exists already matters. I nodded. I was still scared, but for the first time I thought more clearly. You offered him a way out without a fight, she said. Now we have to document everything. I took a deep breath. I am going to do it right. That is the best thing. And one more thing. As long as we do not have a court order, it is not in your best interest to stop the visits on your own. Let me put on record what happened, and ask for everything in writing. If they change anything, let it be documented. I left her office with a list of documents to gather. Bank statements, messages, screenshots, receipts, dates. Nicole started preparing the complaint and the request for temporary orders, but she made it clear that this would not be resolved overnight. I also left with a certainty. Marcus was not trying to reach an agreement. He was trying to gain the upper hand. The following Saturday was Lily's second party, Marcus's party, the one that supposedly would be with him, Irene, and Paul. I did not want to let her go. Every part of me said no, but I also knew how it would look if I held her back without a court order. Right when he was accusing me of being unstable, if I became difficult, I would give them the story they wanted to tell. So I did the only thing I could do. I prepared myself. That morning I put a kid's smartwatch on Lily's wrist. It was colorful, simple, the kind that looks more like an accessory than anything else. It had GPS, a panic button, and a feature that saved a few seconds of audio when the alert was triggered. I did not explain that part to her in detail. I did not want to scare her. I knelt in front of her and tucked her hair behind her ear. If you get scared or cannot find your dad, press this button. Yes. Lily looked at the watch. Why? Just in case. Sometimes adults get confused. If you need mom, you press it and I will come. Yes, my love. I will come get you. She hugged me quickly, the way kids hug when they just want to leave. Marcus arrived for her. He stood at the building's entrance with a rehearsed calm. Hi, he said, as if we were just two parents coordinating schedules. Hi, Lily. She ran toward him. He picked her up and spun her around. I watched his hands, his face, his way of not looking at me too much. I sent you the location in a message, he said. You pick her up there at 6. It is a venue in Mesa. If anything changes, I will let you know. Let me know when you are leaving. Yes, of course. And they left. The hours passed slowly. I washed dishes, folded laundry, and checked my phone too many times. At 5:30 I left for the address Marcus had sent me. It was a Saturday afternoon, it was not office rush hour, and it was not raining. But in that area, traffic lights and weekend traffic can make any short drive slow. I arrived in the area of Mesa with time to spare. The location matched a gray building with closed storefronts and a side entrance. There could be a hall hidden in the back, but I did not see balloons or music or children running around. If there was a party there, it did not seem to be happening that afternoon. I thought maybe it was inside. Maybe there was another entrance. I got out, checked the number, walked around and looked for any sign. Nothing. I called Marcus. He did not answer. I called again. Nothing. I texted him. I am already here. Where are you? He did not reply. First I blamed myself. Maybe I had read it wrong. I walked around for a while checking the map, the message, the number. I tried to calm down. Maybe they were 5 minutes away. I waited a few more minutes. I called again. Nothing. That is when I stopped looking for explanations. My daughter was not where she was supposed to be. Then my cell phone vibrated. It was not a message or a call. It was an emergency alert from Lily's watch. I opened the app. The location appeared on the screen. Peoria, Irene and Paul's house. For a second I did not even know how to move. Then I got in the car and drove quickly, but without losing my head. I could not make a mistake right when I needed to get to her. While on the way I called 911. My daughter is 6 years old, I said. My voice sounded tight but clear. I received an emergency alert from her watch. I went to the drop-off point her dad gave me and she is not there. He is not answering me. I have the child's GPS location. She is at a different address. I need backup to verify that she is okay. They asked me questions. I answered them. Full name, age, address, dad's information, divorce situation, watch alert. I focused on the facts to not lose control. I only asked that they verify Lily was okay. It was not far, but the traffic lights made the drive feel longer. When I arrived at Irene and Paul Street, a local patrol car was already outside. A unit was nearby and arrived before I did. I parked however I could. I got out and went straight to the door. Before I could knock, the door opened and Lily came running out. She threw herself at me. I picked her up and for a moment I just focused on having her with me. Her face was wet and her arms were wrapped tightly around my neck. Lily, I whispered in her ear. I am here. She pulled back just enough to look at me. Her eyes were red. My grandma said you did not come. She let out between sobs. She said you left me. I felt something tighten in my chest but I did not let it out. I did go, my love. I was where they told me. I was looking for you. She looked confused, as if she did not know who to believe. Behind her, Irene appeared with her hands clasped and the expression of someone who wants to seem serene in the face of an uncomfortable visit. Jenna, she said in a soft voice. It was a mix-up. Paul was in the back with his arms crossed, annoyed, as if he thought all of this was an overreaction. One of the police officers walked over and started asking questions in a neutral tone. Irene explained that Marcus had to go out to resolve something, that there was a change of plans and that Lily got emotional. She did not know how to explain why Marcus was not answering the phone. Paul added that the girl was very spoiled lately. Lily clung to my neck. I got scared, she said. You were not arriving. Of course she said that. She was 6 years old. They had told her that. She had believed it. And when she believed I was not going to arrive, she pressed the button. Irene murmured. She has been very emotional with the whole divorce thing. I looked at her. I recognized the same calmness from the Sunday dinners, the same way of saying harsh things as if they were out of concern. I did not argue at the door, I did not give them a scene. Not there, not in front of my daughter. We are going home, I said. Irene opened her mouth, but the presence of the police officers stopped her. Paul clenched his jaw. Marcus was nowhere to be found and that was also put on record. I put Lily in the car. On the way back I did not ask her questions. She rode in silence looking at her hands. When we got home I made her hot chocolate. Not because that fixed anything but because I needed to give her something simple. We sat on the couch. I draped a blanket over her legs. I did not abandon you, I told her slowly. I would never do that. She nodded exhaustedly, leaning on me like when she was a baby. Later, when she finally fell asleep, I went to my room and opened the watch app. I expected to find a time log, maybe the location, but when I opened the emergency event, I saw there was an audio file. I stared at the screen for a second, then pressed play. At first, you could hear noise, fabric, movement, Lily's ragged breathing. Then Irene's clear voice appeared. You see, she was saying, your mom did not arrive. Lily's little voice replied. She said she was going to come. Irene spoke softer. Sometimes adults make mistakes, my love. Sometimes they promise things and cannot keep them. Paul's voice was heard in the background. Enough, Lily, calm down, do not cry over that. Lily's breath hitched. I stopped moving. Then Irene spoke again. It sounded like comfort, but it was not. If they ask you, you just say that you got scared. Because your mom was not there when she was supposed to be. Yes. You do not have to say anything else, Lily whimpered. I do not want to say that. I know, Irene said. But your dad needs you to say things as they happened. You have seen your mom nervous these days, right? That counts too. The recording went on a little longer. Loose phrases, attempts to adjust the story for her. That strange calmness of adults who think a little girl is going to repeat whatever they tell her. It was not a mix-up. It was not a simple change of plans. I saved the file, backed it up, and sent it to Nicole. Then I sat on the edge of the bed listening to the quiet house. This time it was not just my word, there were records. The following months were tough. I am not going to pretend everything was resolved immediately. There was a police report, appointments, documents, calls, hearings, and several meetings with Nicole. I handed over the bear with the device. A technical review was done. Nicole gathered the bank statements, Marcus's messages asking me for money, the debt receipts, the transfer screenshots, the fake location he had sent me, and the watch's recording. While waiting for the important hearing, Nicole requested temporary orders and that any visits be documented. I also looked for a child psychologist so Lily could talk about what happened without feeling like she had to choose between adults. By the time the court reviewed the substantive measures, it was no longer a single weird thing. It was a pattern. Over time, the technical review confirmed that the bear's device could send its location and record audio. The report did not state that Marcus had placed it with his own hands, but it did prove that it was not stuffing or a normal toy part. In addition, on the joint account statements, a charge appeared under an unclear business name, made a few days before the birthday, which Nicole linked to the purchase of a similar tracking device. She cross-referenced that with messages, dates, and conversations where Marcus asked if Lily had opened her grandparents' present. There was also the fake location, the emergency alert, Marcus's lack of response, his absence from his parents' house, and a recording where two adults tried to convince a 6-year-old girl that her mom had not arrived, and that she should repeat a story that was not true. It no longer depended solely on my word. There were documents, schedules, messages, and records. At the hearing, there was no need to embellish much. The facts were in order, and Nicole presented them calmly. I was granted full custody of Lily. It was not a perfect resolution, nor did it erase what had happened, but it set clear boundaries. Marcus was granted supervised visits. On paper they were clear with schedules and conditions. In practice he rarely used them. Sometimes he went, sometimes he canceled at the last minute, and sometimes weeks went by without him insisting. He seemed more interested in fighting for custody than in fulfilling the visitations. Irene and Paul exited our lives. There was no final scene, they just stopped showing up. Lily asked about them a few times during the first few months. She did not stop loving them overnight, she just started asking less. Financially, for the first time in years I could breathe. My paycheck stayed in my house. There were no more unexplained withdrawals, last-minute emergencies, or conversations where I ended up feeling guilty for protecting what was in order. Lily's money remained intact, separated from Marcus's problems. Sometimes I think I took too long to stop trying to please everyone. I think of all the times they told me I was exaggerating, to not be difficult, to think about the family, to not blow things out of proportion. Then I see Lily sleeping peacefully with her stuffed animals next to her pillow, and I try not to get stuck on everything that has already passed. I do not think I did everything right, but I did what I could with what I had at that moment. What I understood did not hit me all at once in the courthouse. It came to me later in smaller things, when Lily stopped asking about her grandparents, when I saw the bear stored as evidence, when I checked for the last time the messages where Marcus asked for money as if my daughter's future were an available checking account. For a long time I confused keeping the peace with enduring too much. I thought that because we were family I had to explain over and over, give in a little more, not make noise. But there are boundaries that are non-negotiable, even if it hurts to set them. No one who truly loves a little girl uses her to win an adult's fight. No one who respects a home slips fear, guilt, or lies under the door. Sometimes taking care of your family begins exactly when you stop allowing the word family to be used as an excuse to cause harm. Comment. I really hope this one stays with you the way it stayed with me. It reminded me how deeply we all need to protect our own peace. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is set clear boundaries, even with the people we love. I admire anyone who chooses their child's safety over trying to keep everyone happy. It takes real strength to stop enduring what quietly breaks us down. If you're carrying something heavy right now, please know you're allowed to choose calm. Taking responsibility for our healing isn't selfish. It's the most loving decision we can make for ourselves and the people who depend on us. You deserve relationships that respect your worth instead of testing it every day. Let's carry a little more self-respect and kindness into our own lives, starting today. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.